Good morning and welcome to the news at 10 on the network service of the NTA, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Stella Inameti.
And I am Usman Aliu. Thanks for being there. The headlines.
Federal government directs Nigerian military to vacate Daily Trust premises.
Presidency debunks allegations on order of arrest of NRF President Amaju Pinnick. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo canvasses more support for President Buhari's re-election.
From tomorrow onwards, other airlines are keen into commence operation.
A new terminal building of Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, sets for operation.
Thanks for joining us once again. Following the directive of the federal government for the military to vacate the premises of Daily Trust, Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement via his Twitter account, says the order has been complied with and issues between the military and the newspaper as they affect the coverage of the war in the Northeast will be resolved through dialogue.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army says the alleged invasion of Media Trust headquarters in Abuja and regional office in Maiduguri, along with other security agencies, was to invite the company over its late story on Sunday Trust publication, which divulged classified military information, thus undermining national security and putting the lives of troops in imminent and clear danger. A statement by Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman, says the invitation of those responsible for divulging military plans was done with the best of intention in order to make them realize the import of such acts to national security. The Nigerian Army advises journalists not to worry but to be professional in their reportage, as it has no intention of muzzling the press or jeopardizing press freedom.
The presidency has described as fake news a press release in circulation to the effect that President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the arrest and prosecution of the Nigeria Football Federation President Amaju Pinnick. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says in a statement that anyone familiar with the President's mitigated and unshakable commitment to the due process of the law will not make such assumptions of the president. The statement says that the position of President Buhari is that allegations of criminal nature should only be investigated by law enforcement agencies and within the framework of the law, which has not changed.
And now to political matters, Governor Ibikule Amosun of Ogun State is reassuring the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, of the unalloyed loyalty and support of the government and people of his state to the renewal of President Muhammadu Buhari's mandate for the sustainable future of the country. The governor was speaking to correspondent Adamu Sambo shortly after a closed-door meeting with the president. He was accompanied on the visit by Ogun State governorship candidate of the Allied People's Movement, Adekunle Abdul Kabir Akinladi. Governor Amosun takes pride in the fact that despite all odds, President Buhari has walked his talk regarding the fight against insecurity and corruption as well as economic diversification for the job creation.
That I know that Mr. President has already won the coming election because if you see his work speaks for him, really. Mr. President doesn't need to still run around because of his work. Everywhere, infrastructures are now being in place. The revolution that is bringing to bear in agriculture, all the social safety nets that is bringing on board, N-Power, Jeep, market money, all of those things. Then gradually, middle class is coming back. People that ordinarily They are every day running around begging for money. They are now employers of labor themselves. So, and that is the way to go if we must get it right as a nation. So, in all fronts, Mr. President has done well. He will still do well, and is poised to do more for Nigeria. We are going to give him a massive vote that has never been seen in the history of Ogun State. So that is what we are here to reassure him.
Aware that he was adopted as a presidential candidate for our party APM. So what we just try to do today is just to assure him that what we've done still stands, and we're working very hard to make sure that he wins in Ogun State, as Mr. Governor just said. And what we're taking away is to tell our people that he's well in the new year, and by God's grace, come February 16th, we will vote and he will win the election, inshallah. He's a very wonderful person, and someone I've always had a deep respect for. And as a father of the nation, I must say very clearly that I'm impressed with what I saw. Very down to earth.
Meanwhile, the presidency says President Muhammadu Buhari will, as the party leader and a candidate on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, campaign for the APC and all its candidates in the coming elections. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the clarification became necessary following repeated media inquiries on the matter. The statement says President Buhari will campaign for all APC candidates and also welcome courtesy visits or offers of support from citizens, including candidates flying the flags of other parties. In the meantime, President Buhari will today inaugurate the APC Presidential Campaign Council for the 2019 general elections at the International Conference Center, Abuja. National Publicity Secretary Lanre Issa Onilu says all those earlier announced as members of the council are expected to attend. Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has paid a courtesy visit to the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu-land, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono. He was received by chiefs of the paramount ruler and some chieftains of the APC before moving to the private residence of the monarch in Ijebu-Ode. Yemi Delemo has the story.
The vice president arrived Ijebu-Ode in his chopper marked NTA 541 and was welcomed by representatives of Abujale and some chieftains of the All Progressive Congress APC in Ogun State. The entourage moved down to the GRA residence of the monarch, where he met the paramount ruler behind closed doors. The meeting went on for about 2 hours, while the details of the meeting were not made known to newsmen. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo paid a visit on the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebu-land, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono, at his residence in Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State. Notable chiefs in Ijebu-land and government functionaries welcomed the Vice President to the residence of the Awujale. Journalists were not allowed to the venue of the visit, as it was said to be a private visit paid by the Vice President on the revered traditional ruler. Before departing Ijebu-Ode, the Vice President also paid a private visit to the wife of the first civilian governor of Ogun State, Mrs. Lucy Olabisi Onabanjo. In Ijebu-Ode, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
And similarly, Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo has called on Nigerians to avoid making the mistake of pulling the nation back into years of underdevelopment and hopelessness, but to ensure that, that President Muhammadu Buhari is re-elected to continue his good work of nation building.
The Vice President made the call at separate town hall meetings in Igbeti, Igboho and Saki areas of Oyo State. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This is the situation on arrival of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, accompanied by the Deputy Governor of the state, Moses Adeyemo, Minister of Communications, Adebayo Shitu, and APC gubernatorial candidate, Adebayo Adelabu. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo continues family chats and next-level engagement in Shaki, Igbeti, Igboho, and Kishi, where he addresses excited crowd. people for their loyalty to the party over the years. President Muhammadu Buhari says will continue to improve on infrastructure, provide job opportunities to millions of Nigerian youths. He says the president is committed to the fight against corruption and insecurity. The vice president addresses the people at both the Okere of Shaki's Palace and at the popular international market area of the town, and on each occasion presents candidates of the party to the people.
We want to make progress. We know we'll go back. Some people say make we go back.
As far as we are concerned here, I know more than 80% of people will vote for Buhari in Okeogun.
The story is the same in Igbeti, Igboho, and Kishi towns. The vice president had earlier visited, promising that government would look into their requests. In Okeogun area of Oyo State, Jide Unifate, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, and we're reaching you live from Abuja. More news ahead, including
new terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport set for operation. Details when we return. Thanks for being there. Still talking politics, wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has flagged off Northwest Zonal Rally of Women and Youth presidential campaign with optimism of consolidating on the achievements of the All Progressives Congress.
The event took place in Kano amidst party supporters and loyalists from across the country. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The flag of the Northwest Zonal Rally of Women and Youth presidential campaign underscores the importance attached to the teaming youth and women within the Nigerian political space, and it as well triggered their support to President Muhammadu Buhari's led administration for uncommon victory in the forthcoming February polls. With the election around the corner, the wife of the president, who was conducted around the teaming supporters of APC from across the 7 states of the zone and other local government areas of Kano State by the wife of the governor Hafsat Abdullahi Ganduje, expressed delight with the massive support the president has been receiving from Nigerians. While conversing for more support, Mrs. Buhari assured them of her tireless effort towards improving their living standards, especially women, youth and children, through her various intervention programs in complementing government efforts. Stakeholders and other APC stalwarts from across the country dwelled extensively on the achievements of various policies and programs initiated by the APC-led administration and promised of more developmental programs if re-elected in February.
This is where you have the greatest number of women. This is where you have the greatest number of people who are for advancement. Women, we all know, were the first to teach us how to use the broom.
The Northwest is a very strategic zone. There have been a lot of gains made by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. The work that has been done in Kano speaks for itself. There are 2 ultra-modern hospitals that His Excellency, the President, came and opened, of which there are none of the type in the whole of West Africa. So
women were very much convinced that the APC presidential campaign has fully taken off, and it is their assurance that the election is going to be a landslide for President Muhammadu Buhari and APC as a whole.
And I want to assure you that the mother of the nation cares for you, that the APC cares for you, and that we, who are the chieftains of APC, will never forget this zone. I want to say that Mr. President has done well in Nigeria.
The event also witnessed the decamping of women from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling APC. In Kano, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
The presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Professor Jerry Gana, has unveiled his action agenda for Nigeria if elected president in the forthcoming election. This was at the party's stakeholders summit in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The SDP presidential candidate's action agenda is tagged SWIFT, that is security re-engineering, wealth creation, infrastructure excellence and power supply, fight against corruption and indiscipline, as well as technology, education and human development. Professor Ghana promised to consolidate on the present administration's fight against corruption.
People are just stealing the resources of the land, stealing the resources of the people, stealing the resources that should be used for development. Therefore, one of our programs must consistently deal with the fight against corruption and indiscipline.
Members of the SDP National Working Committee, state chairmen and candidates reiterated the party's resolve to remain loyal to constituted authority before and after the election.
It is not about Professor Jerry Gana. It is about several other people who are running for election on this platform.
We'll come out stronger, better, and Nigeria has to be reworked.
Professor Jerry Gana's presidential campaign structure was also presented to the stakeholders. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Would it shock you to know that for close to 16 years, no project was completed and inaugurated by the federal government under the Ministry of Water Resources? However, that has changed since inception of the government of the day. That got to a peak in 2018 when the federal government inaugurated more than 8 water supply projects in the year under review. Correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab tells us about the unprecedented feat in the water sector since the Buhari administration began its policy of say no to abandonment of ongoing projects.
The paradox of water everywhere but no safe one to drink has been very popular. Even those in the riverine practically shop for water despite the about 1,800 cubic meters of raw water per capita which Nigeria has. Government of the day arrived and met public water supply at 7% in 2015, a sharp decline from the 32% it was in 1990.
A situation whereby not a single community in today's Nigeria can boast of 100% pipe water supply is totally unacceptable in the 21st century.
The sector is in crisis, and if the sector is in crisis, it requires emergency action.
It was a situation that demanded that the federal government gets beyond its constitutional role of providing the bulk water alone to assisting state governments on how to get water into public pipes. So, Water Resources Ministry made a shift in the paradigm of abandoning projects.
We identified 116 abandoned or uncompleted projects relating to irrigation, dams, drainage and water supply.
That yielded results of bumper inauguration of various water supply projects, more than 8 in number, across the country in 2018, the highest so far in a year.
In less than a week, 4 water projects. I think it's clear testament to the fact that this government believes in infrastructural development.
Again, more than 2 years of consultation and series of retreats got to a defining moment in November 2018 when President Muhammadu Buhari launched the National Action Plan and declared a state of emergency on water and sanitation sector for policy direction. Also, one of various mechanisms in place, the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, PWASH, is gaining momentum. The initiative to collaborate with state governments and other development partners has kick-started in Kano and Ogun states out of the 22 states that subscribed to the idea. Development partners and international donors too are showing more interest towards development of the sector.
This is an effort that requires the contribution of all those that are working in the sector. It's a big challenge, and the contributions, I mean, they are small, but when you bring them together, they will grow to be big, and we need the effort of every entity working in WASH.
And now, with the sustained momentum and commitment, there is enthusiasm across the nation in what 2019 holds for the sector, with tens of projects lined up for inauguration. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NTA News.
And now to security matters. The Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Doli has destroyed some Islamic State of West Africa province gun trucks in airstrikes conducted near Damasak in northern Borno State. A statement by Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ibikule Daramola, says the attacks were executed while providing close air support for ground troops at Damasak who were in pursuit of the terrorists.
And still on security matters, the attention of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has been drawn to the activities of fraudsters who disguise as officers of the commission and send scam mail to individuals with the aim of extorting money from them. Acting Head Media and Publicity, EFCC, Tony Orilode, says the Commission has uncovered a number of email addresses, telephone numbers and websites used by unscrupulous persons to perpetrate such fraudulent activities. He adds that EFCC will not demand for gratification to kill an investigation, and no operative will invite a suspect to any location apart from EFCC's designated offices, which can be found on its website. It therefore advises the public not to send money to any fraudster demanding money in the name of the Commission for whatever purpose.
The new terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, is now operational, with the first international passengers processed on departure and arrival. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
Air activities are gradually swinging into full force at the new international terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, with the first arriving passengers from Lomé, Togo. Passengers were attended to by handlers at various arriving sections.
Well, I've just arrived. It's very nice. It's clean. It's bright. It's big.
I don't want to talk too much. It's very nice. Very brand new, free Wi-Fi. I think there's nothing to say. It's okay.
As a new terminal is beginning use, so many problems are occurred. But I don't think you have some kind of problem. I'm excited.
We are hopeful that with these flight operations today, from tomorrow onwards, other airlines are keen in to commence operation in the terminal too.
Jamina-bound passengers to Chad were also processed, with so many of them talking of the beautiful terminal.
The airport is just fantastic compared to how we used to travel before.
It's nice, very nice.
More international airlines are expected to take advantage of the comfort provided by the new terminal in the weeks ahead. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
And time for business news now. The federal government has intensified plans to strengthen the tax system. Comfort Amadou is ready for that.
A warm welcome. We start with the report on the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FRS, resolved to remain firm in its fight against tax evasion for an efficient tax system that will boost tax revenue collection and voluntary compliance. Recounting its achievements in the preceding year, the executive chairman of the service, Babatunde Fowler, said the commission will intensify its effort to combat all forms of tax malpractice to drive revenue generation up, as well as improve the fiscal space for spending. He also cautioned that government would take over companies that are not paying taxes in line with the law.
70% of the illicit financial flows basically are commercial oriented or based, meaning that companies have transactions within certain countries and they move the profits to another country or do not pay the correct amount of taxes. They might have what you call over-invoicing. They may have technical agreements. They may have even tax treaties with countries that are not favorable to the host country. And so basically, we're updated new transfer pricing regulations for Nigeria, and we're working hand in hand with other organizations and other countries to make sure that we cover and ensure that all taxes that are due to Nigeria are paid within Nigeria.
Meanwhile, bullish sentiment returns to the oil market in 2019 with Saudi Arabia cutting production as China and the U.S. plan to end the trade war. And with that, we end business news. I'm Comfort Amadou. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Comfort Amadou there. Now to education. Just when tertiary institution in Nigeria is wishing for another good year like the year 2018, the year 2019 even promises to be better with approval of 161 billion naira for the Tertiary Education Trust Fund by President Muhammadu Buhari for this year's intervention to public tertiary institutions, TET Fund. TET Fund Executive Secretary Abdullahi Bichibafa announced the approval while briefing the media in Abuja. Ado Adamu also reports.
2019 was received with joy by the nation's tertiary education subsector, with President Muhammadu Buhari's special New Year gift of a whopping sum of 161 billion naira with the approval of TET Fund 2018 budget. The approval, which heralds the commencement of full intervention activities for the year, is seen as another boost to the tertiary education institutions by the present administration. Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund leads those who believe the presidential approval will consolidate interventions in line with the government policy trust.
We are specifically grateful for the non-interference stance of Mr. President, which allows the fund to operate within the provisions of its Establishment Act. This noble stance of Mr. President is consistent with his well-known and highly cherished values of promoting transparency, accountability, good governance, and the respect of the rule of law.
The fund is already reaping benefits of innovations introduced by the Executive Secretary, with remarkable improvement on interventions access by beneficiary institutions, increasing by up to 93.5% in 2018. Even the education tax collection has improved under the present administration.
The increased collection will obviously translate to a bigger allocation for public tertiary education institutions, and therefore more projects, more scholarships, more research funds in the institutions.
Breakdown of this 161 billion naira approval indicates that each eligible public university is allocated 785 million naira, polytechnics 536 million naira, and 510 million naira to each college of education. Ado Ademwalso, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. More news ahead, including sports and entertainment.